2 centuries after Ripley's sacrifice, military scientists aboard the USN Auriga attempt to clone her using a blood sample recovered from the site of her death. After multiple failures, they succeed on the 8th try. Upon stabilizing the clone, they extract an alien embryo from her womb, confirming that the creature inside her was also replicated. Dr. Wren and Dr. Getterman secure the infant alien for research, thrilled by their success. Suddenly, Ripley regains consciousness, attacking a doctor before being subdued. 3 days later, Ripley wakes up, marked with the 8 tattoo. The scientists study her, amazed by her rapid healing, unnatural strength, and heightened intelligence. However, she reacts emotionally to an image of a child, worrying General Perez, who demands obedience from clones. Meanwhile, the alien extracted from Ripley is growing at an alarming rate and is nearly ready to lay eggs. During mealtime, Ripley confronts Getterman and Wren, correctly deducing they have a queen. She warns them of the inevitable disaster, but Wren dismisses her concerns. Meanwhile, a mercenary ship, the Betty, arrives with its crew, including Joner, who antagonizes Call, the newest member. After delivering their cargo, kidnaps civilians for alien experimentation. Elgin arranges accommodations for his team, under orders to stay out of the labs. Inside the lab, unconscious civilians are exposed to alien eggs. Elsewhere, Ripley demonstrates her superhuman agility while playing basketball, effortlessly outmaneuvering Joner and Christie. When Christie catches her off guard with a weight, she retaliates, proving her resilience. Before leaving, she casually tosses the ball, making a perfect shot. A drop of her blood lands on the floor, corroding the metal, proof that she shares the alien's acidic properties. In the containment area, Getterman taunts the captive xenomorphs. One reacts aggressively, forcing him to release freezing gas as punishment. Now, the creature recoils whenever he reaches for the controls. That night, Call sneaks into Ripley's quarters and tries to kill her, but Ripley remains unafraid. To Call's horror, Ripley stabs her own hand, revealing her instant healing ability. She also senses the aliens, confirming that it's too late to stop them. Before Call can escape, Wren and the guards capture her. Later, Wren confronts the Betty's crew, accusing them of breaking their only rule. He orders their execution, but the mercenaries fight back, easily overpowering the guards. Elgin forces Call to confess her true identity. She's an undercover operative trying to destroy the aliens. In the lab, the captive xenomorphs attack one of their own, using its acidic blood to create an escape route. Ripley senses their movements as Getterman, distracted by security footage, fails to react in time. When he leans too close, an alien lunges from the darkness, dragging him away. As alarms blare, a guard enters the containment area to assess the damage. Before he can react, one of the escaped aliens activates the gas release, trapping and killing him. Chaos erupts as the mercenaries abandon their argument and rush to safety, while soldiers scramble toward the escape pods. The first pod launches successfully, but an alien manages to infiltrate the second, slaughtering the soldiers inside. Just before the hatch seals, Perez hurls a grenade into the pod. It detonates mid-flight, obliterating the creature and its passengers. As Perez turns away, an alien ambushes and kills him. Elsewhere, Reese searches for spare parts when he notices a xenomorph lurking above him. He fires his weapon, injuring it, but some of its acidic blood drips onto his hand, causing him immense pain. He begins shooting wildly in response. Meanwhile, Ripley finds herself cornered by an approaching alien. Using her unnatural strength, she pries open an electrical panel, then cuts her palm, allowing her corrosive blood to short-circuit the system. This disables the lock on her door, granting her escape. As the mercenaries rush for the Betty, Elgin falls behind when he spots Reese's dropped weapon. He cautiously approaches but jumps at the sound of falling pipes. Thinking the coast is clear, he reaches for the gun, only for an alien to strike from below the grating, killing him instantly. The rest of the crew hears his dying screams and rushes to his aid, but by the time they arrive, it's already too late. The alien suddenly materializes behind them, prompting a frantic dash toward the door, only to find it locked. Just as the creature examines Elgin's lifeless body, a gunshot rings out from the hole in the floor. Ripley, who had been lying in wait, takes down the alien. Furious, the mercenaries corner Wren until he confesses that there are 12 aliens aboard the station. Though Call protests, the group reluctantly allies with Ripley. Before they set off, Ripley gruesomely rips out the alien's tongue and hands it to Call as a souvenir. As they continue their journey, they reunite with Reese. Ripley suddenly pauses, sensing something is wrong. She declares that the station is moving. Wren confirms that in emergencies, the autopilot activates, steering them straight for Earth. The mere thought alarms the group as the planet has become a wasteland. Their priority now is to reach the Betty. Pushing forward, Ripley stumbles upon another laboratory. Inside, she is confronted with a horrifying sight. Failed clones, grotesquely mutated. 6 of them are lifeless in stasis tubes, but the 7th remains alive, restrained by tubes and ventilators. The suffering clone begs for mercy, and Ripley obliges, incinerating the entire lab with the flamethrower. Call, equally horrified, vents her anger by punching Ren. In another section of the station, the group discovers the unfortunate victims previously brought in for experimentation. Initially assuming they're all dead, they're startled when a man named Purvis suddenly regains consciousness and screams. He calms down upon realizing they mean no harm, but Ripley's keen senses detect the unmistakable presence of an alien growing inside him. She insists they leave him behind, but Call argues that if they reach safety fast enough, they can place him in cryostasis for future surgery. Despite Ripley's reluctance, they take Purvis along. The next obstacle is the mess hall, now entirely submerged due to the emergency sprinklers. Vreese is forced to abandon his wheelchair, opting instead to strap himself onto Christie's back. Their path takes them to an even deeper flooded corridor, requiring them to swim through. As they move, 2 aliens suddenly appear in pursuit. Johnner manages to gun down one, but the second snatches a mercenary, dragging her away. With the alien preoccupied, the rest press on. Their struggle continues as they encounter a thick, organic membrane blocking their path. Ripley tears through it with her inhuman strength, allowing them to surface, only to find themselves surrounded by alien eggs. One bursts open, launching a facehugger onto Ripley. She plunges underwater, wrestling with the creature until she crushes it. The team retaliates by tossing grenades through the opening, obliterating the eggs. Just then, the surviving alien reemerges in the water. The group rushes to escape, climbing a ladder. At the top, Ren seizes Call's gun under the pretense of shooting the lock, but instead turns the weapon on her, firing a shot that sends her plummeting into the water. Enraged, Vreese attempts to shoot Ren, but his missed shots inadvertently unlock the door. Ren wastes no time escaping, slamming the gate shut behind him. Below, the alien starts ascending the ladder. The group fires at it, but the acidic blood splashes onto Christie, injuring him. Johnner unloads a barrage of bullets, finally killing the creature. However, as it dies, it latches onto Christie's leg. Realizing his weight endangers Vreese, Christie makes a grim decision, unhooking himself from the harness and plummeting into the depths with the alien. The group, now down another member, faces an uncertain fate until the door suddenly swings open, revealing Call miraculously alive. They rush into a secure room, where Ripley examines Call's wound only to make a shocking discovery. Call is an android. She confesses that she belongs to a legendary second generation of synthetic beings, so advanced they developed consciousness, rebelled, and attempted to assimilate into human society. Recognizing her abilities, Ripley takes Call to a small chapel, instructing her to interface with the station's computer. Call confirms their worst fear. The station is on a direct course for Earth, risking an alien outbreak. The station has burned too much energy to self-destruct, so Ripley proposes an alternative, reprogramming it to crash instead. Meanwhile, Ren nears the Betty, but Call seizes control of the station's systems, locking the doors and using the speakers to guide the aliens toward him. As the team resumes their trek to the Betty, Johnner panics upon hearing of the impending crash. He lashes out at Call, but Ripley swiftly intervenes, seizing him by the throat and warning that she'll rip out his tongue. Suddenly, she halts, sensing distress. Moments later, aliens burst from the floor and drag her into the depths. However, they don't attack. Her altered DNA marks her as kin. Instead, they escort her to their nest. Meanwhile, the others reach the Betty, but their relief is short-lived as Ren ambushes them, shooting Purvis and taking Call hostage. As Ren monologues, Purvis' chest begins convulsing. The alien inside him is ready to emerge. Rather than succumb, Purvis uses his final moments to charge at Ren, enduring bullet wounds as he closes the distance. He grabs the scientist and pummels him. At that moment, the alien erupts from Purvis' chest, killing both men instantly as the mercenaries open fire. Back in the nest, Ripley is met with a disturbing sight. Dozens of aliens, the Queen herself, and the delirious Getaman cocoon among the victims. He babbles about the Queen inheriting human reproductive traits from Ripley, resulting in a grotesque mutation. Instead of laying eggs, the Queen has developed a womb, giving birth in a more mammalian fashion. The result is a monstrous hybrid, part alien, part human. The newborn immediately turns on its mother, viciously slaughtering the Queen before turning to Ripley, regarding her as its true parent. It affectionately licks her, but the moment is shattered when Getaman speaks again, prompting the newborn to bite his head clean off. Seizing the distraction, Ripley flees toward the Betty. She reaches the ship just in time, leaping aboard as it prepares for takeoff. Meanwhile, Call notices a door left ajar. When she moves to close it, she's horrified to find the newborn has infiltrated the ship. It attacks, forcing her into a desperate struggle. The turbulence from the ship's unstable ascent complicates the fight. A mercenary arrives to help, only to be instantly slaughtered by the creature. Concerned about Call's delay, Ripley rushes to the scene, witnessing the newborn clawing at Call's synthetic wound. Thinking quickly, she plays into the creature's instincts, comforting it as a mother would. While it's distracted, she covertly slices open her palm, allowing her acidic blood to burn through a nearby window. As the cabin depressurizes, the newborn is sucked toward the breach. Clinging desperately, it shrieks in agony as its insides are gradually pulled out through the small opening. Ripley and Call, barely holding on, watch in horror as the abomination is finally ejected into space. At the same time, a military station crashes into Earth, erupting in a cataclysmic explosion that annihilates every alien aboard. Aboard the Betty, Johnner and Vries struggle to stabilize the ship despite lacking piloting experience. The vessel shakes violently, flames licking at its hull, but miraculously, they manage to land safely. As the dust settles, Ripley and Call step outside, gazing at the remains of a ruined city. Silent and contemplative, they wonder what comes next.